Hi and welcome to this topic, Oh Christmas Again. There is a story behind this title. Many years ago, I was running a therapy session, a group therapy session, and at the end of the group, one person said, "I need to run because I need to run. I need to write a lot of cards for Christmas." And another person from the group heard that and said, "Oh no, Christmas again." And the conversation started about that Christmas was coming. And half of the group was saying, "This is fantastic, we're looking forward for the family and to be together, the Christmas tree and all of that." And the other half of the group was saying, "Oh no, we dread that because of the family dynamics, because people were not there." So this tension was there, and one person said, "Can you run a workshop on that?" And this is what we did. We ran a workshop that is called Oh No, Christmas Again. And then that workshop was called Changing Those Who Are Drained into a Gain. And this topic are part of our Change series. So this topic today, we are going to talk about relationships. And as part of the Changing series, dealing with relationships is one of the more difficult things we have, because relationships are where we get the biggest satisfactions and joys in life, but also sometimes the biggest pains and conflict. Change is difficult, but changing relational dynamics sometimes is the more difficult part of that. So in this workshop, we are going to have a look at a way of thinking. We are going to look at a graph that is based on sociometry. Sociometry is how to measure society. It was created by Levi Moreno. And using a graph that is called the demand and frequency graph, we're going to have a look at our relationships. So I'd like to invite you to download the template. So we're going to work on that template. Every person is going to work on that. And you can download it and print it, or you can just look at the template and draw it in a piece of paper. So get ready for that, and we start. So this is the template. In the template, we use two parameters. One parameter we call demand. Demand is, we talk about people who are the high demand or low demand. We are going to explain this a little bit better later. And the other one is frequency, how often we see those people. So to be able to have a look at the name, we call high demand those people that drain a lot of energy from us. That when we are with them, we are never fully relaxed, because we are measuring what we are saying or not saying, what we're asking or not asking. It's like the brain is using a lot of working memory. Instead of flowing, the brain is working. And we work in what is called a tense field. This tense field doesn't allow us to fully relax, so at the end we feel exhausted. And when we are preparing to be with those people, instead of saying, "Yeah, we're going to have a fantastic time, looking forward for that," there is sometimes the desire to see the person because we may love them, but it is a sense of trepidation and dread. I hope I'm coming on time, that I'm not late, that we are concerned about forgetting their birthdays or something like that, because the person got offended. And we are always almost like explaining ourselves or justifying ourselves, because these people are high demand, hard work. And when we leave those relationships, sometimes we feel that we're exhausted and we have some kind of a bitter aftertaste of the relationship. On the other hand, When we are in a relationship with low demand, there is a flow, and we don't use a lot of energy in the relationship. More than that, they empower us with more energy. And we are thinking of going to meetings like that, or to meet that person, or just even call the person over the phone. It is positive anticipation. We are in relaxed field, and being with these people is reinvigorating. We may be tired physically, but the soul is full. We feel so well about that. And we experience tolerance. If one person is late or forgot to call or something like that, is no worries, all is okay. Because the relationship is more important than the facts that happened in between us. And we can care for each other without fear. So in the graph, we are going to have a look at relationships that there are high demand. And when we're talking like that, you may have been already thinking about people who are in one category or the other. The other thing we're going to have a look is the frequency of how much time we spend with them in different ways. High frequency is when we are physically a lot of time with them. But it's not only physically. Sometimes the person may live in the other part of the world, but we are connected. We have a frequent communication with them, especially now with Zoom and all the virtual and the social media. And there are people who are in a permanent contact with them. But also, how often this person is in our mind. Sometimes we think of them and we go to the memory, we bring them to our thoughts, and it's nice. For example, I put the example of myself. I lost my parents many years ago and my sister, and it's beautiful to bring them to my mind with good memories. But there is sometimes that the person is very present because of intrusive thoughts, or because of guilt, or because of resentment. So high frequency is when that person is very present in my mind, physically or mentally. And of course, in low frequency is a person, or we are not seeing each other often, or we don't even think of that person often. So let's start working with the graph. We are going to work in two ways. The first time, we're going to look at the relationships again, what is in demand and frequency, especially focusing on Christmas. But it's not just Christmas. Christmas is like a metaphor. It could be in preparing for a Sunday lunch or roast, or any other meeting or encounter. But also the same graph can be used with friends, can be used at work. Who is the high level of demand and frequency, and what can we do about that? The second video will be about, we call it the empty plate at Christmas. And for people who are facing the first Christmas or the first birthday or the first celebration, and somebody is not there anymore for many reasons. Because the person may have passed, or the person have been separated or divorced, or many reasons, and we call it an empty plate, or something that in this Christmas there is so much to celebrate. But what can we do in situations like that? So let's go to the graph. Go to your graph, and you can work on that on your computer, or you have maybe in a printing version, or just drawing on a piece of paper. What I'd love for you to do is to let come to mind the people that come to mind in what is called the social atom. Social atom is the microcosmos of relationships. What is this nuclear group of people that come to mind that could be about Christmas in this case, but in general, what is this small group? Who is who there? And let us start with people who may be high maintenance. That is hard work. So in that case, this person, for example, starts, and this is a woman, and she said, one of the person that is high maintenance for me is my father. Love him dearly, but he is hard work. So this is very important, because the high maintenance or low maintenance is not related to love. It's related to the dynamic that is costly for us. So who is coming in your mind? Start plotting them in different places. High demand, high frequency, low demand, low frequency. For example, this person says, my daughter is a low demand person, but she is far away and is so independent that we don't talk as much as we would like to. And then my brother is like my father. They feel that there is patriarchal background, and he's like my father. They are prima donnas in the family, and my mom is a lot responsible for that. And then I have my son. Oh, very different. My son is low demand. He's very gentle, but I don't see much of him because he moved far away. And but my daughter-in-law, his wife, beautiful woman, I love her very much, but she is hard work. So she is often on the phone or whinging about life and complaining. So she is there. And I have my sister, other friends. As you can see, we are plotting on the graph. So I'd love for you to pause the video and to take your time to plot the people in your graph. Well, we are back. When we look at the people and the role we have played, we play the role of an observer and almost of a critique of our relationships. And we have looked at them and measuring if there are high demand or low demand. We were in a position that is a little bit of a, not judgmental, but a critique of their behavior. Because this is our perception of what they are. Now it's important to know that when we are plotting them where they are there, it's not because of who they are, but because the way we respond to them. This is very important to have a look that when we put this in high demand, it's not because the person is just a high demand person, but the way I respond, I gave the person that space, that role. So it's not about the person or not about me, but it's the dynamic that happened between both. And then we're going to see what to do about it. Now it's very easy to sit back and look at our relationship and say, you're good, you're not very good, you're this, you're that. But very often we forget to think that these people are also thinking of us. So in that case, I like to invite you to think that if somebody else of these people are making this template, I'm feeling this webinar, where would they put you? And this is a key element. Sometimes it's very hard for us to think about ourselves. Again, we're very good in judging others, but it's very hard to look at ourselves. As one person said, we judge others for what they do, but we judge ourselves based on our intentions. And because our intentions are usually good, we think that we are fantastic. But how does the other person perceive us? This is a very important question. In psychodrama, this is called role reversal. It's putting myself in the other person's shoes and looking at me. In that case, is who will put me in a place that I am a high demand? They put me in a high demand. Let me tell you that in my case, I know that some people will see me as a high demand. So we're going to have a look later what to do about that. But the more important thing is to be aware of that without justification, without saying, oh, they don't understand me. No, some people might perceive me as a high demand, hard work. So what can I do about that too? And of course, some people will see me as a low demand, and that is better, I think. So this is important for us to know that we are analyzing our social matrix, our social atom, but also where are we in that picture. So the idea here is to be aware first of the people who are in the quadrant that there is a high demand. These people are the ones who are draining us. And also to have a look at the people who we spend more time with. Are we spending enough time with the people that we nurture our heart and our mind, our soul? Because very often the people who have so much demand, it takes the time that we could use for other people. And in that case, we need to see what to do with those people, and this is what we are going to have a look now. Not in depth, but just to have to play with these ideas and to have some tools that it may be useful in what to do with this social atom, to be able to change the way that I respond to people, especially to people who are high demand. And what can I do with people who are low demand to be able to enjoy them a little bit more? So let's continue. Coming back to the graph. So let's start with the people who are high demand and high frequency. One of the points here is how we can limit the level of frequency. So in that case, how to move somebody who is high frequency to low frequency. There are a few things that we can do. One, if we can, is to spend less time with them. If we are living with them, it's more difficult, but we may find ways to have a more space with the person. But it's not only physical attention, also in our mind too, or emails, or in connection with them. How to limit the exposure we have to them. Because limiting the exposure may likely help us to change this dynamic. This is not an easy thing to do. Easy to teach it, but it's very hard to do. So hard that sometimes it's at the edge of the impossible. But it is possible if we follow certain principles. The first principle is to be aware of what is happening. This picture that we have here is priceless because it gives us an insight of our relational dynamics. In that case, we're talking about somebody that we are spending a lot of time with. Can we minimize? How can we minimize that? Once again, is to be less with the person, but when we are with them too, we can also spend less time with them. There is a case that we use in our course. We call Karen, and just a name. And the person visits the mother 3 times a week, and every time she goes for 2 or 3 hours and ends exhausted, very often with a fight with the mother, with a lot of totally drained. So after the exercise, she put the mother very high up in high demand, and said, how can I see her less? So then she realized that she doesn't need to see the mother 3 or 4 times a week. Twice a week, it's enough. So for her, they need to sell this idea. Mom, I cannot see you 4 times. I will do twice, only twice a week. She loved her mother, but she was hard work. But not only going only twice a week, but also she realized that after 20 minutes with her, or within the 20 minutes of being with her mother, it was good. It was fun, it was okay. But after around 15, 20 minutes, the relationship became sour, became tense, complicated. So she learned, and she said, why I will stay 4 hours that I finish so drained if I can have some control over that and stay with her only 15, 20 minutes. And this is what she started doing. She said, Mom, today I cannot stay until 4. I need to go early because I have something to do. And the mother was upset for that, but after 2 or 3 times like that, she changed the pattern. Changing the pattern relationship is key. This is for a topic for another workshop that is called Cultural Conserve. How to change repetitive patterns of behavior, especially in relationships, that is so hard to change. So Karen changed that. She started going twice a week, and instead of having 4 hours, 20 minutes. She enjoyed with the mother that she loved very much, and many times after 20 minutes, the relationship was fantastic, very relaxed, and she looked at the clock and said, Mom, today I can stay a little bit longer. But stay longer was on her control, her choice. This looks very simple, but I think that it's not. So to be able to make those changes requires first an insight, knowing what I need to change. We need the energy to want it to change, but also the creativity in what to do, how to do it. And in many cases, we will need the support of a companion. Could be a wise friend, but very often we need more than that, like a counselor or a coach that help us to turn sometimes generational patterns that we need to change if we really want to have a better life. So one of the points is how to diminish the frequency. Another way to do is how to take the power of that person who has so much power, so much in that high level of demand, becoming lower demand. The person has a lot of demand, not because of the person, as I mentioned before, but the role I'm playing with that person. So when we cannot change the environment, as Viktor Frankl said, we need to change. But changing that again is not easy. One of the tips is, as I mentioned before too, is that the people who are there at high frequency is usually people that we really love, but it's very hard to be with them in that relationship. Let's say a friend that you see often, and every time you see the friend, there's something changed for whatever reason, and then instead of having a flow, having a good time, every time becomes a little bit more sour, and you become frustrated and a little bit resentful of that friendship. May have happened for a long time or forever, and you continue, but you are not fully happy. Sometimes we need to shift the role. Sometimes that person, of course, is a friend, as somebody who you love, or can be somebody in the family, but it may not be a friend. But if you love the person and you want to spend time with the person, you may need to change the role from a friend to a mission. It sounds patronizing, I'm with you as a mission, but it's a metaphor. I'm going to see my friend because I love him or her. I like to see my mother or my brother because I love them. But I need to shift the way of my expectation. I'm not expecting anything from them. I'm going there to give 100% with zero expectation back. And if something comes back, I will enjoy it and celebrate it. But changing that, as I call it as a metaphor, from friendship to mission is essential. Again, easy to say, hard to do. So we have one is diminishing the frequency. And the second one, it was to not give them the power to have so much power over us, changing the role. So dropping our expectations. And coming back to the frequency and connecting to Christmas, what many people did during this workshop was, some of them, they say, I'm sorry, this Christmas I cannot go. That's just a big shift and create a lot of tension. But sometimes they have to do that. And it takes one Christmas. The second Christmas they will ask them, are you coming? And they say, no, this coming, yes or no. They shift the control for them to have the control of going or not. But what some people did is they drop into the family to say hi, to look at the presents, but they don't stay in the meals, in the Christmas dinner or Christmas lunch. They leave earlier, so they diminish the exposure to that. Again, there are many alternatives to do, but the important thing is it is possible to do it. And the last one about changing those who are draining to a gain is to look at people who are low in demand. Very often, as I mentioned before, people with high demand takes our attention, our time. And so then we need to start looking at people who have a low demand and to say, can we enjoy more time with them? And to bring them closer to us. So, this is essential for us. And as you saw it before, how to change myself too. How for the people who perceive me in high demand, what can I do in my behavior, in my expectations, in the way I relate, to be aware that some of my behaviors are an imposition, makes people feel uncomfortable, there is a demand, and for that sometimes it's not easy to change. But it's important to start hearing and asking others, how do you see me? How do you perceive me? Because what a gift for me first, to change from being a high demand to be a low demand. For people who would love to be with me, and after a time with them, they will feel nurtured with me and not drained. Oh, I was with Carlos this afternoon. It was exhausting. And I must say that I know the people in my family or friends who might find me like that. So one of my work is my personal growth, emotionally and spiritually, how to change that. First, how can I respond to others in a better way so they don't have that power over me? But also, how can I change myself so I make the other people easier to be with me? So this is an idea and a technique in how to map who is a drain or a gain, if I'm a drain or a gain for others. And I invite you to use these practical tools to spend time with the family and to do it with others and to see who is who in the zoo, how we are relating, because it's very important that we can aim to have a better life. So, all the best, enjoy, and I hope that you have a wonderful Christmas.